They told you it was over. They told you this was the end of your story. But here's the truth. Setbacks are not the end. They are the test. The question is, will you break or will you build? Every great comeback starts in the ruins. You can't rebuild without first being broken down. So if life has knocked you flat, congratulations. This is your starting line. Stop running from what happened. Stop brushing it under the rug as if ignoring it will make it disappear. A setback does not dissolve in silence. It festers. You can't heal from what you refuse to acknowledge. If you pretend you're fine, if you tell everyone, it's nothing. When deep inside you feel the weight of the collapse, you're lying not just to them, but to yourself. And lies like that are poison. They keep you stuck in the same loop, trapped between the memory of what you lost and the fear of facing it. The truth is, you can't rebuild from a place of denial. You have to stand in the middle of the wreckage and see every broken piece for what it is. Look at the fall. Don't just glance at it. Study it. Feel the sting of it. Let the reality hit you in the chest so you can finally stop pretending it was no big deal. That job you lost, it mattered. That relationship that ended, it left a hole. That dream that crumbled, it shook your sense of who you are. And that's okay. It's okay to admit it hurt. Because when you name it, you take the first step toward owning it. And ownership is power. Ownership means the setback doesn't control the narrative, you do. Ownership is saying, yes, this happened. And now, I decide what comes next. Most people get stuck because they keep sugarcoating the truth. They call it a little mistake instead of a failure. They call it just a rough patch instead of an upheaval. But sugarcoating delays progress. When you mask reality, you can't address it. If your house burns down, you don't stand outside calling it little smoke damage. You call it what it is so you can rebuild it. Your life is no different. You have to face the ashes before you can lay the foundation for something new. Denial is a slow death. Truth is the first breath back to life. And don't mistake facing reality for dwelling in it. There's a difference between acknowledging the fall and making it your permanent address. Owning your setback means you visit the memory to learn from it, not to live in it. You can't keep replaying the moment over and over in your mind like a punishment. You face it once, fully, and then you start working on the blueprint for the rebuild. That's how you move from being a prisoner of your past to being the architect of your future. It takes courage to say, I failed. It takes even more courage to say it out loud to yourself in the mirror. Because the moment you admit it, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can't blame the timing. You can't blame luck. You can't even blame other people. Owning the fall means taking full responsibility for your part in it. And that responsibility is not a burden, it's a key. The moment you take it, the door to change swings wide open. Without it, you're locked out of your own transformation. So ask yourself, have you really faced it? Have you stripped away the stories you tell others and confronted the raw truth? Or are you still wrapping your pain in layers of polite half-truths because it's easier than feeling the weight of it? You can't build a skyscraper on a cracked foundation. And you can't build a stronger you on the shaky ground of denial. The sooner you stand in the ruins and look at them with unflinching honesty, the sooner you'll have something solid to build on. The fall happened. The ground gave way. And now you know exactly where you stand. That's the first, unshakable step toward your comeback. Every setback has two versions. The one the world tells, and the one you choose to tell yourself. The version you accept becomes the truth you live by. If you let the world write it for you, it will be a story of loss, failure, and defeat. They will define you by that moment you fell, not by what you did afterward. But when you take the pen into your own hands, the story shifts. You can turn the very same event into a moment of strength, a lesson, a turning point. This is the art of rewriting your story, changing the narrative not by erasing the past, but by reframing it so it fuels you instead of destroying you. The way you speak about your setback, out loud and in your own mind, is shaping your identity every single day. If you keep telling yourself, "I'm the person who failed," that identity will guide your choices. You'll hesitate more, take fewer risks, and expect less of yourself. But if you choose to say, "I'm the person who learned," you create a completely different future. Your language becomes a weapon against self-doubt. Your story becomes a shield that protects you from the opinions of others. Words aren't just sounds. They're the building blocks of belief, and belief shapes reality. This isn't about lying to yourself or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about finding the meaning inside the pain. A setback doesn't have to be a scarlet letter. It can be a badge of honor. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has a chapter they could have ended on, but didn't. They made the conscious choice to take their worst moment and position it as the foundation for their next success. That's not luck. That's not magic. That's a decision to take control of the story and refuse to be cast as the victim. When you rewrite your story, you also reclaim your power from those who underestimated you. People will try to box you in based on what they've seen before. They will speak about you as if your lowest point defines your entire life. But they don't get to decide your ending. You don't owe anyone the comfort of staying small so they can keep their version of you intact. You can outgrow their narrative, and you can do it so completely that it makes their old story irrelevant. The greatest revenge is not anger, it's evolution. Rewriting the story is not just mental, it's practical. If your setback was losing a job, then you frame that moment not as being fired, but as being freed to find work that truly fits you. If your setback was a failed relationship, you frame it not as abandoned, but as redirected towards something healthier. This shift changes how you show up in the world. You stop walking like someone who lost and start walking like someone who was guided to a new path. And people feel that difference in your presence long before they hear it in your words. You are the author of this chapter, whether you admit it or not. Every single day, you are either adding sentences that keep you stuck in the same scene, or sentences that push the plot forward. The pen has always been in your hand. You just forgot you were holding it. So take it back. Write the version of the story where you rise. Write the version where the setback was just a twist in the plot that made the ending even better. The world will believe whatever you keep repeating. So choose your words with the precision of someone building a future worth living. You can rebuild the outer shell of your life 100 times. But if the inside of you is still fragile, it will all come crashing down again. The truth most people ignore is this: the inside comes first. Before you fix the job, the house, the relationships, you have to fix the person who lives inside all of that. Because if you carry the same fears, the same doubts, and the same self-sabotage into your new life, you'll simply recreate the same pain in a different form. Strength that lasts is not built from the outside in. It's built from the inside out. when your foundation is solid. Storms don't destroy you, they reveal your resilience. That kind of foundation is built in private, away from applause, away from validation. It's the discipline to get up early when no one's watching. It's the choice to fuel your mind with something powerful, instead of numbing distractions. It's the decision to challenge your own excuses before they even leave your mouth. You become unshakable by practicing mental toughness when the world isn't even testing you yet. That way, when the test comes, you're already ready. Too many people try to decorate their lives without reinforcing their structure. They chase the title, the image, the applause, hoping it will make them feel whole. But what happens when the applause fades? What happens when the job changes, the money slows down, or the relationship ends? If your worth was built on things you could lose, then you were never standing on steady ground to begin with. The rebuild starts with you. Your habits, your mindset, your emotional control. Without those, everything else is temporary. Building from the inside out also means confronting the parts of yourself that contributed to your setback. Maybe it was procrastination. Maybe it was avoiding hard conversations. Maybe it was letting fear stop you from taking the leap you knew you needed to take. You can't skip over those truths. They're not weaknesses to be ashamed of. They're instructions for your growth. Every flaw you face becomes a piece of the blueprint for the stronger version of you. Ignore them, and you risk building the same faulty structure again. This internal rebuild isn't glamorous. It's not a highlight reel. It's hours of showing up for yourself when no one claps. It's learning to control your reactions so you don't give away your power. It's training your body so your health supports your goals, not hinders them. It's choosing to be around people who challenge your excuses instead of people who make them sound reasonable. These are the daily bricks no one sees, but they're the ones that make the walls unbreakable. And here's the payoff when you build from the inside out. You stop fearing another collapse, because you know, even if everything on the outside falls apart again, you still have the tools, the discipline, and the strength to rebuild from scratch. That is real power. That is the kind of security no bank account, no job title, and no relationship can give you. The world can take many things from you, but it cannot take the person you've become in the process. And that person can build anything. You cannot rebuild your life in an environment that constantly reminds you of the collapse. If every voice around you keeps echoing your past mistakes, how can you focus on your future? The truth is, some people don't want you to rise. They're comfortable with you broken because it makes them feel bigger. They keep you in the same conversations, the same cycles, the same atmosphere that drains your energy and poisons your vision. If you want to rebuild, you have to cut the cord from those who keep you tied to the wreckage. The people around you are not neutral. They are either builders or destroyers. Builders see potential where others see nothing. They don't dwell on what you've lost. They focus on what you can create. They offer solutions, not sympathy that keeps you stuck. Destroyers, on the other hand, disguise their negativity as realism. They will tell you they're just trying to protect you from disappointment. But what they're really doing is protecting themselves from watching you succeed. You need to become ruthless about who gets a seat at your table. Sometimes the hardest part of rebuilding is realizing that not everyone can come with you. The same friends who were perfect for your old life may not be right for the life you're building now. It doesn't mean you hate them. It means you understand the weight you're carrying, and you can't afford to carry their doubts too. Distance is not betrayal. It's survival. You can love people from afar while protecting the space where your new foundation is being laid. Surrounding yourself with builders means intentionally choosing people whose mindset matches the direction you're going, not the place you've been. If you want to think bigger, you need to be around people who are already thinking bigger. If you want to move faster, you need to be around people who are already in motion. Energy is contagious, and whether you realize it or not, you absorb the ambition or the apathy of those you spend the most time with. If you stay in a room full of complainers, you will start complaining. If you sit with problem solvers, you'll start solving. This shift in your circle doesn't happen by accident. You have to go out and find these people. You have to put yourself in rooms where you're the one with the smallest vision, so you're forced to grow. You have to seek out mentors, peers, and friends who will challenge you instead of coddle you. Builders are not always the most comfortable people to be around. They will call you out. They will demand better. They will push you beyond your limits. But those are the people who make sure your rebuild is stronger than anything that fell apart. And here's the reality. The right people can accelerate your comeback faster than you ever imagined. A single conversation with someone who believes, and you can wipe out months of self-doubt. A single push from someone who refuses to let you quit can turn a breakdown into a breakthrough. The wrong environment will keep you questioning yourself. The right environment will make you forget you ever doubted in the first place. Protect your circle like your future depends on it. Because it does. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Perfection is a trap, and it's how most people waste years of their lives without ever starting. You tell yourself you're preparing, but really, you're stalling. You convince yourself you need more clarity, more resources, more confidence. But those things only come after you start, not before. Every single success story you admire began with someone who wasn't fully ready, but moved anyway. They figured it out along the way. They stumbled, they adjusted, and they kept going. The rebuild doesn't require a flawless map. It requires motion. Action is the cure for fear. You can spend months overthinking, planning, and visualizing, but the moment you take a real step, even a small one, your brain shifts from what if to what's next. That's when momentum begins to build. Momentum is a force more powerful than motivation because it doesn't depend on how you feel. It carries you forward even on the days you don't feel like moving. But momentum only exists if you take that first step. Standing still kills it before it even starts. The truth is, imperfect action beats perfect intentions every time. You can tell yourself you'll start when the time is right, but that's just fear in disguise. The time will never be right. There will always be obstacles. There will always be reasons to wait. But the people who rebuild fast are the ones who start in the middle of the chaos. They start when they're uncertain, when they're scared, when they don't have all the answers. And because they start, they learn faster. And because they learn faster, they rise faster. You will make mistakes. Accept that now. Mistakes aren't proof that you're failing. They're proof that you're moving. Every wrong turn shows you something the perfect plan never could. You'll learn what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. Every action, no matter how small or flawed, is a brick in your rebuild. You don't get to the top by waiting for the elevator. You get there by climbing the stairs. one imperfect step at a time. Consistency is what turns those imperfect steps into unstoppable progress. One great day won't rebuild your life, but 100 consistent days will. Show up for your rebuild daily, even when you're tired, even when you doubt yourself. Especially then. The discipline to take action in the absence of motivation is what separates those who stay stuck from those who rise. Every day you act, you reinforce your identity as a builder, not a dreamer. And here's the most important part. Once you start, you cannot stop. The moment you pause for too long, doubt creeps back in, fear grows louder, and the old habits start pulling you down. Momentum is a living thing. It has to be fed with action. Keep moving forward, even if the steps are tiny. Because tiny steps compound. They stack on top of each other until one day you look around and realize you've built something so solid, so strong, that the person you were when you started wouldn't even recognize it. You've been knocked down, but you are not done. Everything you've been through was not meant to bury you. It was meant to build you. The fall stripped away what was weak, and now you have the chance to rebuild on a foundation that can't be shaken. This is not about going back to who you were. That person is gone. This is about becoming someone stronger, wiser, and bolder than you ever imagined. Your comeback starts now, not when you feel ready, not when everything is perfect. Now. The world doesn't need another person who talks about change. It needs someone who proves it's possible. Let that be you. Every step you take from this moment is proof that you are not a prisoner of your past. You are the architect of your future. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And there is nothing more powerful than that. Rise, rebuild. And let the life you create from here be the loudest answer to everything that ever tried to break you.